Hey, Black Cloud Engineers, D'Amico's Chambers here. And so, week one, I talked about the jobs that were available in the cloud, the career paths that you could take to building your career out in the cloud. Well, this week, I wanted to focus on the next necessary step because you can get overwhelmed with so many options, right? And so we're going to focus on finding that career path that best suits your personality and interests, because that's also vital and key in becoming a proficient and successful cloud engineer. You want to be doing something that you like. You want to be doing something that best suits your skills and that best suits your interests, and something that you basically want to do on a day in and day out basis, right? Again, it also helps you with being able to decipher the various cloud career paths that are out there, and narrow that list down to one or two areas that you want to focus on so you can get immediately started on your certifications and your training and your labs and your resume, et cetera, until you get all the way till you become, an employed professional within the cloud industry. So what I'm going to do is going to go over. I've already talked in depth about the types of jobs that they're available, the types of career paths that are available. So now I'm going to talk about the personality that it takes to be proficient enough in each of those career paths. All right. So I'm going to break down with the personality, and I'm going to kind of highlight some of the skill interests that are preferred when working in that cloud. And again, you just go from this list, running back as many times as you need, and you just decipher which one is best for you. So, first one is a cloud architect. All right, you already know what a cloud architect is by now. But the personality type for this is you have to be uh, analytical. Um, you have to be matter of fact. Straight to the point. Um, a bit of a creative, because again, you're working with lots of diagrams, so you're able to move things around to make things fit best for the client. Really good at explaining and working by yourself. So what I mean by this is you have to be really good at being able to communicate to the client, or to your internal company of the next phase of the infrastructure for your cloud infrastructure or cloud services or cloud applications. Being You have to be good at taking the complicated technical terms and technologies and just simplifying it and making it easy and digestible in layman's terms for those persons to understand. So if you're really good at that, again, if you're analytical, if you're really good at just being able to piece everything together, even the smallest of services, the smallest of resources in the cloud, and make them all very digestible to where someone can easily understand it. Cloud architect is definitely for you. So, moving on to cloud network engineers. You have to be, again, very analytical, detail oriented, friendly with numbers, and investigative. So, this basically means that, let me go, I'm going back to number one. The highest skill interest on cloud architects will be designing creativity and learning new tech. So those are the three highest skill interests for cloud architects. Now moving on again to cloud network engineers, analytical, detail oriented, friendly with numbers, investigative. Um, that's pretty much cut and dry. As a cloud network engineer, you have to be able to just break down numbers. You have to be really good with uh, being able to understand numbers, integers, uh, IP addresses, subnet mask. Not my favorite. VPNs, X, Y, and Z, but just being able to, you can, like, for a lot of people out there, numbers is just their language. All right, they understand and can speak numbers. I'm not. I'm not there. I'm not that kind of guy. But if that's you, if that's something that you're struggling, you're really good with numbers, you will love cloud network engineering. Their highest skill interests are, again, numbers and designing. You'll do lots of designing, helping, working with the architects and designing the best network for your applications and services to be able to pull traffic through. Um, so next is the cloud automation engineer. So the personality type for a cloud automation engineer is problem solving, big picture thinker, and proactive. So you have to be able to think how this automation is affecting. When I say big picture, how does automation affects the grand scheme of things? Proactive mean getting ahead. Being able to know what patches are upcoming and are going to need to be updated on what applications X, Y, and Z. And problem solving. You can just sit and figure out, and because you're going to do a lots of debugging, all right, lots of debugging and getting around errors and resolving errors. So and then the skills of interest for cloud automation engineers, the highest one is learning new tech, designing, and creativity. All right. Cloud developers. Personality type for cloud developer is tedious, good with details, patience, strong collaborative skills, good at keeping things in order, strong concentration skills. All right. And strong concentration skills basically meaning that you can sit on one task or a few and work them to completion for long periods of time. Maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, even sometimes 12 hours, until you get around building out this piece of the development. This piece of an application, whether it's front end or back end. Tedious again. You're dealing with lots of programming. I don't like to say coding because coding gets kind of spooks a lot of people away and unnecessarily. When coding can be when you're sending text messages, you're coding, but that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, you're good with details. You have to because codes break all the time. For various reasons. So you have to kind of be able to eyeball, be able to read through code, um, and using your programming skills and making those replacements and adjustments when needed. It can be the smallest thing, like it can be like a semicolon somewhere, or it can be an alignment issue, uh, which will hurt cripple some code. So yeah, the highest numbers of the highest skill traits of interest for cloud developers are coding, numbers, and consistency of daily tasks. You will have a consistency of the same type of work on a day in and day out basis, sometimes even for weeks at a time until that part of the project is done. So that's for cloud developers, cloud system administrators. Personality type have to be punctual, all right? Have to be good at delegating tasks, good at managing projects, big picture thinker, multitask oriented, because you're always touching different aspects of the infrastructure. You're always going to be responsible for managing different parts of the infrastructure, and punctual because you're going to have to always make sure that the information you've gathered is centralized the right way. All right. So when you have these different teams come at you with their questions and concerns or meetings, X, Y, and Z, you need to be able to present, the data or your portion of the project that's in alignment with that department, those engineers, what they specifically work on. So just being punctual. You're kind of the go-to for you're almost like the oracle for everything. And so you just need to be on point, and then delegating tasks because you're going to usually have a team, not only your team, but you're working with other groups and departments of engineers. So when it comes to having these big projects and the rollouts, you need to be able to delegate, according to those engineer skill sets. So if that's your personality, if you're cool with that, you can do that on a day in and day out basis. Cloud system administrator is perfect for you. Um, their skill interests are management, all right, and designing, all right, and consistency of daily tasks. Now, when I say designing, doesn't always mean, um, drawing pictures and stuff, but designing meaning you can literally, um, you can create usually a diagram or so, or you can basically bring the big picture to tangible existence, the ideas to tangible existence, meaning you can draw it out and how A is supposed to connect to B and C, X, Y, Z. You can design, all right? So just keep that in mind too whenever you hear me say design. And creativity, same thing. It's just more so think of it as, yeah, you can say artsy, but also just being able to, it's just being able to think outside the box. That's all the creativity is, you know. Personality for cloud migration engineers. Personality type for those is customer service friendly, able to connect the pieces, right? Prefers to have orderly work, confident in decision making, strong communication skills. So yeah, you need to be able to communicate things. You're going to be working with either a client a lot or a particular engineering team, and you just have to have strong communication skills because so much can get lost in transaction when you don't know how to communicate or have poor communication skills or you're just not a communicative person. Um, yeah, orderly work because it's important. You know, you're literally taking